cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Right, welcome into the View from C-Deck, and I am a very erect Just Matt right now after Ohio State puts another playoff beatdown in the Rose Bowl this time against Oregon, the number one team in the country. Just smashes their face in the first half, gets up 34-0, doesn't really look back at all. That never really got that close. Ends up 41-21, and that doesn't even really tell how close this game actually was. Total domination, especially in the first half from the Buckeyes. Direwolf, I'm guessing you were screaming and waking up your neighbors, or not waking them up, but annoying them madly, just like I was.
Oh, yeah. My girls were actually down there watching the game with me, and I think I was freaking my dog out because she was like shaking and stuff every time I'd scream. But oh yeah, it was like just that adrenaline shot we all needed. I don't remember having back-to-back games like this ever in my fandom, except for 2014, I guess.
Yeah, but even then, it wasn't total domination the way. I mean, it was against. This game was almost the same as Wisconsin. We just talked about it. We were 38-0 at halftime. Wisconsin, I thought we might be. This time we got down there close. And end up kicking the field goal, and then we give up the touchdown at the very end of the half, which was, I mean, if they don't get that, then this game is just an absolute laugher, both in the scoreboard and I don't think they continue to try really in the second half after that. But let's just look at the stats here. We ended up with only 20 first downs, 500 yards of total offense. We had 390 in the first half, though, 319 passing, 181 rushing on 5.8 yards per carry. Travion Henderson, of course, helps out with that with a 66-yard touchdown. Only 2 penalties on us and only 3 on them for a grand total of 27 yards total of penalties. So clean game and no turnovers by either team and almost exactly the same time of possession. But this was domination. And it started with the freshman, Jeremiah Smith. Where you been all my life? Last 2 games, it's been let's get him involved early and often. And it's been a great success after the disaster against Scum. Is this just the key?
Yeah. I mean, I think you might be on. They're finally on to something, which it was so obvious all year. That he's the best player on your team. He might be the best player in the country. But that it kind of answered some questions for me that, was that Tennessee game an anomaly, or was it them, finding lightning in a bottle and keep doing it? And they went ahead and were aggressive like I was really hoping they would be, and it tells me that they're going to continue to be that way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, again, beautiful, especially on the first touchdown on the crossing route. Double pull your guard and tackle from the left side to the right. Total run action is what that says. And then you just hit it back across, and he just makes him at one guy miss, and he's off to the races for a 45-yard touchdown. It's a thing of beauty. I think it's helped our O-line so much is all the misdirection and pooling and the changing of the scheme from the zone to like the gap scheme that like we basically are starting 5 guards on offense. What are guards good at? Run blocking and pooling. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to do that and try to confuse you enough that you can't just pin your ears back and straight up attack us. Will Howard doesn't get sacked at all against a really good D-line. We've played 2 really good D-lines. And the O-line has held up this repatch. I didn't think it was possible. I really did not think it was possible for us to play this well on the O-line. And Justin Fry, we got to give him credit. We've shit on him a lot in the last 2 years on this podcast. But he has done some wonders up there to get them through all these injuries. And now we look like the best team in the country. Like the offense looks unstoppable. These are 2, like a top 5 and a top 15 defense we played, and we dropped 40 on them easy. Through 3 quarters. But
it could have been 50 easy on both teams, honestly. Maybe even 60.
If we had tried, we would have been. If we had tried to keep scoring, it would have been.
And just touching on the O-line, I mean, I get it. I'm starting to get annoyed where you hear people, commentators, and even in articles, you'll say, yeah, they averaged this per carry, but Travion had a 40-yard touchdown, or Travion had a 50-yard. Well, if it happens every goddamn game, you got to factor.
Oh, the fact is those runs happen. The only one I ever think like the last one against Indiana, that's when I'm like, okay, they're playing a weird, like not a normal defense. And you ripped off, like they're trying to play aggressive and you ripped off one, but you got past them. That one's the only one I like, and that was like the only long run of that game. I can understand that using that logic, but most of the time you're right. oh, if you just take away their best runs, well, no shit. If you take away everybody's best runs, if you take away Ashton Jennings' 2 best runs against Penn State last night, then he had like 60 yards running
Yeah,
on 28 carries.
And this one was that one play drive for 70 yards or whatever the hell it was. I mean, every time he touched the ball, he was getting a first down or scoring a touchdown, it seemed like. Except the passing plays, for whatever reason, to him today didn't work. But it can't be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, well, we're Buckeye fans. If we demand perfection, start completing those balls. No, they have athletic linebackers, and so does Texas. So it'll be tougher to get them. It's not going to be as advantageous. It's not like he's a great route runner or anything that can get open all the time. He's kind of relying on just out-athleting whoever the linebacker is. Defensively, masterclass. Absolute masterclass from Jim Knowles and the entire defense. The big adjustment was putting Caleb Downs in the middle of the field, almost like a deep middle linebacker, and just kind of letting him take away. I mean, we talked about it in the first podcast, not so much this preview, but the first game against Oregon, that he likes to throw seam routes. Gabriel loves throwing seam routes. And he didn't really do that a ton against us, but because we were worried about that, it was opening up the deep balls on the sidelines. We just said, we're having Caleb take away those and making him, and we're having the corners play deep, look out for the deep ball. Completely took it away from him. He bounces one off Ig Benoson's head. The only time he took a shot at Burke this time, Burke's closer to having an interception than the guy was to catching it, although it was just well overthrown. But totally works. And then we get 8 sacks after 0 last time. 8. Because he's just totally confused. Gabriel is with Caleb just wreaking havoc in the middle of the field.
Yeah. I mean, you're spot on there. Downs was everywhere today, and he probably didn't even he might have the 3rd best game on defense. That's how dominant we were.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just shows you we didn't hear anything about Burke, which is always a good sign for that position. Was that his only target on him, that overthrown deep ball? He might have been targeted.
I remember a tackle for loss on a run play, too. That's about all I remember him doing.
Yeah, and the score doesn't really show how much the defense dominated because, I mean, it was basically a shutout in the first half, and then they were kind of just playing like I'm okay with them taking 6-7 minutes to score a touchdown when you're up by 35. So in Oregon, they're going to score points. It's almost impossible to shut them out. I mean, coming into it, they were the most dangerous offense in the country, and we might be now.
We are now. Of the teams that are left, there's no question we have the best offense. And I thought the same thing as you, though. Like, watching Oregon play this year, I'm like, their offense is almost unstoppable. Now, we hurt their running back again, just like we did against Tennessee, just from hitting them hard, though. I mean, we were laying some licks on some people, too. There's no doubt. But it was the D-line getting pressure on their own. But it was a lot of times, it was just confusion. Nobody was open for what they like to do, what Oregon likes to do offensively, and they couldn't run the ball at all. So they ended up with like minus 23 rushing yards, but that's because they had minus 43 on the sacks on Gabriel. They ended up with like 299 yards passing, though, but he was just making plays back there. I'll give him credit. He was pulling stuff out of his ass. And Trayshawn Holden had a good game, too. Evan Stewart also was out for them. I guess that's a little bit of luck pregame. That limits some of what they can do, I'm sure, and what they had game plan for. But not much. And then we have to get real quick, though. Defensive MVP ends up being Cody Simon with 11 tackles, 3 for loss, 2 sacks. Jack Sawyer could have got it too. 2 sacks, 3 pass deflections at the line of scrimmage. Downs all over the field. He probably was the most impactful player, just didn't have the stats to back it up. But he deflected 3 passes too, I think. We had like 9 pass deflections and no turnovers. Like, we just got unlucky too a little bit.
Yeah, and there was at least 2, I think it might have been 3, where our guys had their hand on the football on defense and could have had an easy pick and just couldn't corral it in. In addition, I don't even think those were part of the pass deflections. Those were just straight up, plays. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, could have easily had 2 or 3 picks if the ball just bounces a little bit better for us. Then we got and Jeremiah, by the way, was the offensive MVP, 7 catches for 187, which breaks the Ohio State freshman record for single game yardage, held by Chris Carter, and 2 touchdowns. Well, man, not much more. He broke the Big Ten freshman record for touchdowns today. Now he's 14. He's maybe the best receiver in the country already. He's just a freaking animal. Now, special teams, punting aside, which was still terrible, Fielding goes out there and makes two field goals from his like bugaboo spot, the left hash, kind of deep. Hopefully he got the confidence back there in case we do. I mean, maybe we're just going to blow everybody's doors off here, but in case we don't, it's nice to see some confidence maybe for him.
I saw some, pumping fists on the sideline when he made that field goal. I mean, it was 17-0, so it seemed like we're just dominating, but it was like a more enthusiastic feeling, like he's getting his confidence back. That's so important for that position, and it could come into a big part, like Georgia, I don't know, 2022, when it comes down to a field goal, we might be playing them in the Natty. So I think it was huge that he got on the same page, and he went 2 for 2 and just get that bad taste out of his mouth.
Yeah, well, it's huge. Okay, I mean, Elisha, have you had this much fun, like you said, back-to-back games like this where we just dominate playoff caliber teams?
No, I can never. I mean, maybe it happened in the Woody Hayes days. I don't know, but not since I've been alive have we just absolutely dominated. I mean, yeah, we beat Bama, but that we were down half of that game. Oregon, we ended up dominating pretty good in the Natty, but back to, I don't remember it ever happening.
No, and that may be what scares me is it's hard to get really, really good performances consistently, which leads us to Texas now. Real quick, just first thoughts. We're 6-point favorites some places, 6.5 in others right now. It opened at 5, so it's already moving towards us. Texas needs double overtime to take care of a Arizona State team that they were 14-point favorites against. They've looked really good in the first half of both their games, and then they've let both Clemson and Arizona State claw their way back in kind of in the second half of games. So what gives here? I think they're right there with us as the best defense in the country, like all 3 levels.
Yeah, it does make me a little nervous because the big thing that we've done the last 2 games is get out to a fast start. But like you said, Texas seems to get out to a fast start too. So that makes me a little nervous. And then are we getting – I know we're not getting cocky. I think they're still going to be pissed. But Texas has a great defense, and if they can limit that and instead of us, getting these huge chunk plays, they hold us to field goals, and they're going to stay right in that game, then it might come down to the fourth quarter. But if we're popping on all cylinders, I still don't think they have anybody that can stop Jeremiah, but that's going to be the key, really.
They have the Thor pointer there at corner, so they may try that. And he's actually I think he's bigger guy, and he's a pretty big corner, so they could maybe give us some issues on offense. But I think they don't have the playmakers on their side of the ball to really threaten us defensively from what we like to do, which is just kind of make plays to beat us. I don't think they have the guys to do it, but we'll see. It's going to be a different type of challenge. I think I like right now though. How can you go against us? We look like the best team in the country by far, especially offensively. We look like the best team, and we've played the hardest road to get here too for the teams that have gone. So
we look like one of those teams where it's laughable to even mention it, but at the end of the year, you're like, could they beat the Cincinnati Bengals when they were terrible, or whoever the NFL is right now? I don't even know who it is, but
they aren't wearing a Michigan uniform and it just gets in Day's head, we probably could.
Yeah, probably right.
All right, but that'll do it for this podcast. What a great night for Buckeye fans, for Buckeye fandom, for Ryan Day too. I guess we didn't tell you on that. The job is very, very safe now, right? Like even if I guess he's still, in some people's mind, has to win the title, but there's no way he gets fired, I don't think, after this.
He's proven he can win big games is what the big hang up was. Now, like that stat before the Oregon, I guess after the Oregon game, before the Penn State game, he was like something like 1-5 or 1-6 against top 5 opponents. And since then, he beat a top 5 Penn State, top 5 Indiana at the time, number 1 Oregon. Tennessee's another top 10. So, he's kind of gotten rid of that mode, on his back.
Yeah, he's a good coach. We'll just see if he's good enough here. But right now, he's got them looking like they're peaking all of a sudden at the right time. They are peaking for sure, and he's got the guys to do it. And they look like the best team coming down. If we see James Franklin in the finals, I think we're going to see Georgia. But if CJ Franklin in the finals, he owns him just the same way that Michigan kind of owns Day. So I like our odds a lot there. Okay, but that'll do it for this podcast. Go revel in everything that happened. Do want to send our condolences to everybody who was affected by the tragedy down in New Orleans, the loved ones and family and friends. Such a senseless, stupid thing to happen. And hopefully it's not something we see again around at least this game anymore. But we'll give a preview of everything else after the Sugar Bowl tomorrow. We'll preview Ohio State and Texas in full. We'll preview the Penn State game as well in another podcast where we kind of preview both. But for the Dire Wolf, I'm just Matt. Like, subscribe, comment. Let us know just how erect you are right now. Maybe 3 inches, maybe 8 inches. Who knows? Good for you if it's 8. And we will see you guys next time.
Hey, guys. Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.